And thank you so much for inviting me today. And what an absolutely glorious culmination of two events today for an educator to be part of, to see our honorary doctorates and our professional doctorates achieve in their set fields and have their qualifications recognised, and then to be able to talk to you about something that's so dear to my heart, and that is that notion of how does education prepare and make the world a better place. One of the things that I wanted to share with you is the notion of the fact that I think in education we have the most incredible privilege because we are working with the future. We are preparing students and humans to enter a world that we don't know how it's going to be. And in order to prepare them for that world, we need to think about how that world has been. And when we look at business models and business structures and the economic trend, education has followed, whether it's the industrial age, whether it's the technological age, education has followed those trends. And we've looked at creating humans with the skill sets to cope in the world that is. Unfortunately, that doesn't work anymore. COVID taught us that this world is changing exponentially. And the nature of the world our students are going to be entering into, we don't have that insight. And so we have to ask ourselves, what skills, what capabilities are we providing our students, the future workforce of this world, in order to best prepare them? Now, when you look and deeply investigate the skills that were valued for graduates entering the workforce in 1970, it was reading, it was writing, it was speaking, and it was all around compliance and following rules and regulations and doing what you were told to do. When you look at the world that we're entering into and the industrial revolutions that were happening at the time, those skill sets were appropriate. But the world is changing. But I ask you this question, do we still value those traditional skills from education, or are we looking to the future? I worked with an incredible educator many years ago, and she said to me, Donnah, your students will be entering the workforce in 2002. She said, imagine the world. And my first thought was, well, there'll be flying cars, there'll be all these wonderful technologies. And you know what? The technology is there, but are we preparing our students to manage that? And when we think through the skills, the dispositions, and the qualities they need, it's the ability to communicate. It's the ability to critically reflect. It's the ability to look around the world and recognize that they are part of an ever-changing world. When I went to school, it was me, and all the education was preparing me for my future. However, we've got to look at education differently. It's the responsibility of schools to give our students the opportunity to develop authentic communication skills. Reading, writing, and speaking and listening go into that, but the ability to respond to a situation appropriately, the ability to choose the correct response in any given situation, to treat people with respect. When you look at the capabilities now of our leaders, it's human relationships, it's conflict management, it's coaching and mentoring, it's goal setting and growth of those people working with you and for you. And it's the education's responsibility to provide those opportunities for our students. It's also about presenting the world to them. Never before is our world so close and yet so different. Even today, when we look at this room and we look at all the diverse experience, cultural groups that have come together for this one event, how amazing is this world? But the ability to navigate that with respect, the ability to listen and learn has to be provided for our students. And so one of the key pieces, I believe, in making the world a better place through education is not changing the way we teach, because that's been growing for years. And it's not changing what we offer to our students, because schools have been investing in this for a very long time. I think it's the sector beyond school. It's tertiary education. And more importantly, it's the world. We seek qualifications versus human interaction skills. We talked about this before, life skills. Those abilities. A friend of mine has a master's in business administration and many, many wonderful qualifications. And he was asked to apply for a job recently. And when he said to them, well, why have you chosen me? They said, your qualifications. And qualifications are important. But his first response was, I know nothing about this industry. I know nothing about what makes this sector work. You need people who have those understandings. You need people who will enter an environment and ask questions, and not questions from a critical perspective, but questions from a connection perspective, asking why. And for me, that's the biggest challenge we have, is teaching the world outside of schools how important, I'm not going to call them soft skills, I'm going to call them core skills, because they're the transdisciplinary, they are the skills that make humans and enable humans to change the world. So that's my challenge for you. In every industry you're in, let's push beyond the pieces of paper and the academic recognition and look to the skills our students have, the critical thinking, the compassion, the empathy, the ability to adjust and function in any situation. And as the gentleman said earlier, know who they are. That's the most important way education can change the world.